Hi, and welcome to the initial episode of the Gothic Heart, where we're going to talk about all things Gothic, alternative, outside the traditional style, how we incorporate them into life, occasions, decor, just everything. And my personal story and how that plays a part, and different ways that we can be ourselves and express our personal style, regardless of how society wants us to be and how we can incorporate that. So let's get started. Hey, it's Amity, welcoming you to the Gothic Heart, where we explore how to fully embrace your Gothic and alternative self in love, life, and everything in between. Whether you're navigating the dating scene, in a relationship, or celebrating your individuality solo, this is your spot for tips, inspiration, and my own journey from a courtroom attorney to a holo wedding host. So grab your favorite drink and let's dive in. In this first episode, I want to talk about my sort of how I came up with my style, which it's just sort of always been my thing. You can go back to even like first grade and see pictures and stories I drew of pumpkins and about witches. And I mean, I've just always liked Halloween. Always been attracted to lace and vintage and black color, dark purples, just all the spooky colors and things. Vampires were always so fun, just all kinds of fun things I enjoyed and liked wearing. And my music taste always veered that way. It was very, I went to high school in the 90s, so you had your grunge and your alternative, but I went even more to like new metal. And to this day, still listen to it, love me some new metal. But a lot of those things were not socially acceptable. A lot of things still aren't. I mean, we've come so far in these past 25, 30, 40 years. But it's still not where we needed to be. So it's kind of the beginning of all of my story. I was always sewing or being creative or finding an outlet or a way to have my style. You could never find a jacket made of, rainbow skulls fabric, or, a purse that was neon yellow and hot pink or anything like that. And those were the things that I wanted to do. So early on, I learned how to sew and embroider, and that took off like crazy. Sewing is a huge passion of mine. I would make clothes and purses with embroidered skulls on them, and vampire things, or cauldrons bubbling, or a lot of lacy designs or damask designs, which were really fun. So do a lot of that, which was always very enjoyable. And that I could have my style. I mean, the jacket I made was like neon pink and purple. And I mean, I also love bright colors, neon colors. So making things my own and expressing my style in a world where that style maybe didn't exist outside of, I did find some cool stuff in Hot Topic back in the day. It's different now. Was just really important to me to learn how to do that. So that's definitely a big part of my journey. It led me to where 13 years ago, I got engaged and we were planning a Halloween wedding. And by the way, it was incredible. Best wedding. So much fun. People still talk about how fun it was. But come time to when we went to go look at a ring and things like that, of course, I would want something, skulls or coffins or bats or spiders or something fun, which wasn't around. It's few and far between even nowadays if you can find something your style. So I found something great. I do love also on the flip side, hearts and stars and glitters and sparkles and all the pretty colors. We found a beautiful heart, engagement ring and went for it. Custom was not something that seemed to be readily accessible or available. And even if it was not in my budget back then. I love my ring. I love what we ended up with, but it's still, when you think back to it, like what I was looking for was not available. Something that, would truly express the style I was going for, especially with our Halloween wedding, did not exist. It wasn't there. And it wasn't something I could just sew up, but like I've been sewing, clothes or bags or home decor or blankets or quilts or whatever. So, that just was a big, not quite turning point of my story, but it was something. At that time, I was a courtroom attorney. I was a criminal defense attorney in Los Angeles area, and I was in the courtroom all the time. So there was no heavy, fun black makeup, glitter everywhere, my skull earrings and jewelry, none of that, right? I was wearing pearls. I was wearing a suit every day. I credit that time from being like where in my head, I almost created the first piece of jewelry that I made. It was just a vision in my head at that point of a way to, I could have my style, but like it would still be courtroom accessible. So it wouldn't have been obvious. And I'd credit that time from like my first jewelry design or my first fun design. But fast forward several years, I didn't start designing jewelry or anything then. I had my first child, and I took off my rings for pregnancy. And then about 6 weeks postpartum, I really wanted to put them back on. So I shoved them on like 30 minutes. They were totally stuck. My finger was swelling. Couldn't get them off. Followed like every tutorial we could find on the internet, and we had to cut them off. And at that point, I was like, why have I been dancing around anything like this? Why have I been, not learning everything I could about, jewelry and all the other things I want to explore, but I've already learned sewing and can express myself that way. So I decided to start learning back then. I just on the side, learning about jewelry, meeting with instructors, mentors, vendors, all sorts of things. I ended up moving to Colorado shortly after that. So a large part of my journey took place in Colorado, and I never took the bar. So it was my past life where I was an attorney. I ended up going back into corporate management world. I had used to be in cosmetics. I was a fashion merchandising undergrad. I had a master's in business as well. So I had always been very management and operations focused. So it was an easy thing to fall back into in working in Colorado. But still, I was always learning this stuff, just like I had learned my sewing and figuring out the best ways to do things. Last year, there was a lot of things going on with my family life, with my children and my parents' health, especially where it was like, I'm going to have to leave this, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day job, traveling all around to different offices, working my butt off. It was good for that time, but it didn't give me the flexibility I needed to be able to take care of my parents who lived in another state and, the extra needs that my children were starting to have. So I ended up quitting work. And that's when I finally decided, why are we dancing around this? Like, let's go full blast. Let's launch. So we launched, it was me. My husband, gave me the push I needed. Launched Amity Alexandra Jewelry Design. And I made it my mission for people to not have to experience what I went through. So my mission is that people do not have to compromise their personal style, and that custom jewelry is accessible to all, to everyone. So the exact opposite of my experience when I went to get my engagement ring, it was my personal style did have to be compromised. I mean, I love what I got with the hearts and things, but it wasn't what we truly had started to look for. And I was not able to custom if we could do custom back then. It was, way out of budget, right? So that's the opposite of what I'm trying to inspire here, is give everyone a chance to express their personal style from the ground up if they want. Or, if you want to just tweak a few things on a design you like, just to add some personal meaning and story to you, I get it. I have so much inherited jewelry, as a lot of people do, family jewelry passed down from generations that just, sits in a drawer or gets in a safe. And, we look at it every once in a while and, we love the memories and stuff, but we're not going to ever wear it. So let's transform it. Let's make it into something you can wear. Keep those memories with you every day. Enjoy it always. Or redo, like I'm going to redo my set, repurpose my set into something, my style now. I mean, I'm only 13 years in, but who I was, is very much like that. But a lot of people, what they buy in their 20s is not what they want now in their 40s or 50s, or, what they've inherited. Or, a lot of people may want to, split up some of their jewelry and donate, the stones to their grandchildren or things like that. But most importantly, for people in maybe my courtroom situation, we can make stuff that still expresses your style. Same with clothes and your personality, but still fits within societal norms if necessary. You know, what I always think is, gosh, I wish I should have known the show, but one of those like NCIS or CSI shows where one of the scientists was a little gothic, but she was just genius and knew all of her stuff, and she was the best at her job. So, it didn't matter her look, and, she was still hired. And I love that vibe and that feel. But in today's world, if you show up to an interview like that, the chances of you being hired as, a high, scientist or anything are pretty much go downhill. I mean, appearances still matter as much as we wish they didn't. So it's all about, that's what we're going to explore in this podcast, is how we can combine the two, and break out and open up people's minds and still be able to express our style and not have those people who, I even remember in high school, I was a cheerleader, and we were on the bus to a game, and one of the other cheerleaders, or I'd been listening to some music, I don't know, like Gravity Kills or I don't know, Dope, Static X, something. And she was just like, it's just a phase. You're just rebelling. You'll start listening to, back then Britney Spears had just come out and all of that. And it always hit me weird. And it's not a phase. I still listen, love, do all those things. Go to my shows, still the same style. Love me some lace, love me some dark, gothic-y colors. Yeah, it's here to stay. I'm in my 40s. It's not going anywhere. So I know there's a lot of you out there where, even though it's not going to be the same style, but you've got something alternative that you like. And, we're not going to be talking about jewelry all the time, but it's going to be how you can, express yourself in society, how we can break out of the norms, how we can even find vendors or people or companies that will do the things that you're looking for. Like if you want a special piece of decor or flowers, or how to plan, a gothic themed event. I mean, I got to tell you, finding all my stuff back in the day, I mean, even now, it's not easy. The event industry, wedding industry, all those things, they're not meant for those resources. They don't just have them in their pocket. So we're going to find them for you. We're going to talk DIYs, all kinds of fun things that can be done. And we'll be a community together, and we'll talk about it. We'll learn it together. And I'm just so excited for this ride. So I'd really love to know if you've ever had something similar in experiences, or where you'd wanted something that you couldn't find and hunted down, or if you have a sort of a tendency to like that alternative lifestyle, but other people don't understand it or anything. I mean, I'd love to hear your stories, because I've been in the same boat, and we don't need to be alone. So we'll hear from you soon, and I can't wait to see you guys next time. So follow, like, subscribe, all the things, so that all of our fellow alternative Gothic style lovers, personalities can find us, all right? And become part of our community. All right, we'll see you next time.